Hello, everybody. In this show, we're going to be talking about Star Wars Shatterpoint, announced by Atomic Mass Games this week. We're going to be delving into some awesome stuff for Warhammer 40,000 and Warhammer Age of Sigmar. There's even an amazing Kickstarter from the folks at Themeborne for The Last of Us. There's also a chance to win the amazing Cadia Stands Astra Militarum army set, so make sure to get your comments down below. Strap in, the weekend starts now. Hello, folks, and welcome to The Weekender. We are back for another dose of awesome tabletop gaming from the week. You'll notice that there is no Jerry here, so it has fallen upon my shoulders to lead this, which means it's going to be utter chaos, but there we go. We are joined by Justin. Say hello, everybody. Yeah. We are joined by John.
Hello,
and we are joined by Shay.
Hello,
Shay is here in a front stage weekender. Boom. Fantastic. He can talk about all the things that he's done to screw people over.
This is actually going to be funny because this is the first time in OTT history where myself, John, and Shay have all been on camera at the same time for a weekend.
Oh, God, yeah. Wow. So it's a special weekender, this one. And we're going to be talking about some pretty crazy stuff. So some interesting things to talk about later on in the show. But to get some sort of updates and things out of the way, starting on Monday, we are going to be doing Undaunted Week alongside the folks at Osprey Games. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of Let's Plays, which is going to be really fun. We're also going to be doing some interviews with the designers and the artists and the narrative developers as well that have been joined on that game. And we're going to be delving into all sorts of awesome stuff and giving away brilliant prizes at the same time as well.
There is one prize, one massive.
Oh, yes. It's like a big bundle prize this time, isn't it?
Yes, basically the ultimate Undaunted bundle.
Yeah, so if you've ever wondered about getting into Undaunted, or you watch the week and think, well, this game's for me, then definitely make sure to check out those videos and see what you think. All you guys have played Undaunted, I think. You've all been in it at one point, haven't you? You guys enjoy the game?
This coming clean week made me sad for one very particular reason. I didn't get to play.
I
got to watch. Shay got to play, and he's done some terrible things.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Shay got to play because he approached me, or Jerry and him approached me actually, and they were like, "Do you want in on this filming?" And Shay was looking at me. You know, if I said yes, I would have to sleep with one eye open. So I figured Shay wants this one. Yeah, probably. Yeah, be safer for me.
Yeah, because one of the big focuses obviously is around Undaunted Stalingrad, which is going to be releasing the week after our theme week. So you've got some time to get your pre-orders in on that. And that's obviously why Shay was loving this, because obviously you get to play it as the Soviets and stuff on the tabletop, which is always nice to see, doing some nasty things. And it's also really cool because this is their first kind of legacy campaign game set in the Undaunted universe. So if you're interested in that, make sure to check it out. Don't worry. We've made sure to hide as many spoilers as possible, but there's still some fun things to dive into, which is always
Shade was throwing mines and grenades all over the place, so
that gives you
nothing
a taste
says
of
I love you
got
like
coming,
explosives.
Yeah,
I mined the whole of Stalingrad if I could have. I would have.
But there we go. So make sure to check that out starting on Monday. So that's the 14th of November. We're going to have a bunch of videos out on the Monday, and then you'll be able to watch a whole host of stuff throughout the week as well. So watch out for that. Don't forget, if you haven't checked out our previous stuff from Dystopians week, which was last week, make sure to go and do that. There's still all the videos there. You can download all of those force lists, play as your favorite faction, watch our Let's Plays, and have some fun. If you comment on those videos, there's still time for you to dive in and maybe get yourself some prizes as well, which is always nice. But there we go. Moving on, we get to the most important part of the week. And I don't know, how should I approach this? Should I go with a loud Warren-style introduction, or should I go with a sort of sedate Jerry introduction?
Maybe we should each do the one we think that it should be.
Oh, okay, cool. Right, so I'll start.
Right,
okay. So I'm going to go, it's Indie of the Week. Oh, yeah.
Oh, not bad. I'm going to go with it's Indie of the Week.
Oh, I like it. It's like a commercial from the 80s. That's cool. Yeah. John?
It's
the idea of the week.
It's the end of the week, lads. Let's get on with it.
There we go. Cool. And Shay, I want to hear yours now. Everyone's gone through, so you need to do one as well.
Bite you, big man. It's the end of the week.
Oh,
Two of us tried to impersonate Jerry.
Never
We
works.
both failed.
brilliant stuff. Yeah, so we're going to be looking at some terrain this time around and delving into the collection from the folks at Battlescale. Now, I didn't actually really know much about Battlescale until quite recently when I saw that a bunch of their stuff had popped up on the Pendragon website, which we'll have a look at a little bit later. But their collection is for essentially just scenery that you can use on the tabletop, although there are a few little sweet additional things which we'll look at a little bit later. But they do a whole host of resin cast buildings that are all sculpted by hand, which is, I think, amazing to see in this day and age as well, even now. Even though all of you guys are 3D printing mad. But they cover a whole host of different scales. So you've got 10 mil, 6 mil, 3 mil. There's a couple of 28 mil bits and pieces in there, 15 too. But if we dive into the 10 mil section, which I think is where a lot of people get their kicks from, you'll see what kind of stuff they have on offer. So one of the nice things about the range as a whole is that they cover pretty much a whole host of different time periods. There's a focus on stuff to do with World War II, I'd say, and kind of building up that look of, I suppose, Normandy and France during World War II. But one of the nice things about a lot of the buildings that you get in Europe is that they don't necessarily change, really. We seem to be stuck in our ways since about the 16th, 17th century. And so houses from that point on will pop up pretty much anywhere, really. But you get a really nice section of different buildings that you can use for building really nice tabletops with. You've got defenses and all that kind of stuff as well. Like if you open up some of these like pillbox and bunkers and stuff, I think they're fantastic because they're the kind of stuff that would be brilliant for doing or setting up like the beach landings and stuff and all that kind of things as well. And you've got river sections and stuff as well, which is always nice to see. This is actually some of their newer stuff that they've been working on. And I think they were saying that the rivers were in such high demand that you may now have to wait quite a while to get them. So clearly there is a dearth of a lack of rivers in 10 millimeter for everyone to pick up.
Question, Ben. Yeah. Does it arrive like it is in this picture, or do you have to do your flocking, your bushes and stuff on your own?
So the standard selection of stuff is unpainted. So you'll have to just pick it up and you see John is waggling his mouse.
Thank you, John.
So the majority of stuff comes unpainted, although there are a few pre-painted stuff, pre-painted selections that you can pick up and things like that. But yeah, most of the section is just bare resin. So
that's fair enough. I know there are some lazy gamers out there. Like
that is true. Yes, I am one of them. I've only just started painting courses. There you go. So yeah, but yeah, so you've got some really awesome sort of bunkers and stuff like that as well. It's really cool that that's for Tobruk and stuff. I think it's quite nice.
No, that is a Tobruk.
Oh, that is a Tobruk. Well, there you go.
Well, it is it's an observation bunker with Tobruk.
Oh, okay.
The Tobruk is the hole in the top.
Oh, is it called a Tobruk because of Tobruk for some reason?
It probably is, yeah, because I think it was something to do with like the little makeshift emplacements they all made around Tobruk and stuff like that. So it's basically just a hole in the ground with a machine gun in it. The Germans were kind of like, it's a nice name. We'll steal it and make it out of steel and concrete because that's what they do.
Yeah.
I do have to wonder, how many different shapes and variations of bunker were there?
There is actually a number for that, Justin.
Oh,
I'm hoping John knows that number.
It's somewhere in the region of 98 individual bunker styles.
Wow.
Interesting.
Each of them having their own blueprints and their own layout.
It's very simple because, this one doesn't fit. What one fits?
Yeah, because I always assumed that I sort of assumed they built bunkers based on whatever the hole was they dug in the landscape. But
they're Germans. They're very efficient. They will dig a specific hole for a specific bunker.
Yeah.
You have flavors of bunker. You have like the individual Tobruk, which we've just mentioned. We have the larger machine gun post. We have the artillery observation bunkers, which look different. You have the artillery emplacement bunkers. Then you have the big artillery emplacement bunkers. Then you have the V1 launch bunkers. Then you have the V2 launch bunker. Yeah, it goes on.
This is the bunker episode.
This is the bunker episode. Jerry should not have taken a week off.
But yeah, so if you're looking to build up stuff, as I say, for kind of the battlefields of Normandy and things, I think the collection of stuff that they create is really nice. Although obviously a lot of the stuff they do kind of can ape sort of medieval Europe as well. And you could also use it for a little bit of fantasy wargaming at the same time. I know a lot of people are really into their 10 mil fantasy, playing stuff like Fantastic Battles or perhaps War Master and sort of that revamped version of War Master that came out as well. And so picking up a lot of the different houses that they've done that kind of match that fantasy aesthetic for kind of the Empire and the old world would be a pretty nice way to go. It seems as well that I think a lot of people are scaling down in terms of their collections and playing at smaller scales now. I know obviously that playing at 6, 10, 12, 15 has always been a thing, but it seems over the last, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years, we've seen a lot more focus on that kind of thing, I think.
And
moving
smaller
away
scale
from
but bigger armies?
Yeah, small scale but bigger armies.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing that like Flames and Team Yankee really take off that 15 mil kind of range, and the bolt action stuff is kind of becoming more skirmish. There's people who are playing smaller games with that, but more points heavy really, but not what we used to see when bolt action was first sort of on the scene.
Yeah.
I do like that I'm seeing some of the Dark Age dwellings there, because I'm going to pay tribute to Jerry, but you could play Tiny Saga with that, for example. got to get it in there for the man. He's not here, so volunteer in spirit.
I also have to let him see this hedge.
Yeah.
This hedge with gate.
I also make sure to pick a company that has very small pitches, because you've got to honor Jerry in these kind of things. So, yeah.
But that's what's here in our hearts.
But that's what's really nice about the collection, I think, as a whole, is that it does those slightly larger buildings that you would use to build towns and villages and all that kind of stuff, and urban environments. But then you get all the smaller bits and pieces that come alongside it. So you get the hedges, you get the roads, you get the things to build, streets and roads and sections like that, and farmland and things. So they kind of cover all the bases when it comes to terrain, which I think is really nice. Could you open that chapel house? I love that chapel house.
Which, this one?
Top right, yes. I told you I wasn't going to make you open things, but I'm going to make you open things. So.
I'm not going to put you in. The thing is, like, this is in. I've moved from the 10 mil to the 6 mil, and the buildings look slightly cuter, and it's because they're hand sculpted. They just the edges are a little more rounded and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Between the scales, is there a building the same that's in all three that we can compare the details as we go down the scales? I am curious to see how it holds up.
Say no more.
God.
Let's have a look.
If you type in chapel, maybe it'll show us like loads of different things.
We could do that.
Yeah.
But we're not.
we'll just show you off as we go through.
We're just going to go back through and see if we can find one building that spans all.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
A Russian Orthodox church there.
Yeah. While we are looking through this, I will say as well, the thing that I think is really good about the range too and terrain in this scale is that I think sometimes if you look at 28 mil buildings, 32 mil buildings, 40 mil buildings, or whatever, depending on the game you're playing, I think sometimes it's very similar, but a little bit different.
Very similar.
I think that it can sometimes be a little bit daunting when it comes to painting larger buildings, which I think is why a lot of people went to the likes of Foreground or Black Site, for example, and picked up those pre-painted kits so that you wouldn't necessarily have to dive into all that painting side of things. Yep. Whereas if you're looking at 6, 10, 12, whatever, and that smaller scale, I think painting a village suddenly doesn't seem such a hard task, especially when it comes to the fact that you could use contrast paints and dry brushing and all that kind of stuff, and to kind of bring them to life a lot quicker than you necessarily normally would.
I mean, I remember many moons ago whenever we 3D printed basically half of France to fill out the gaming hall.
Yes.
I mean, that whenever we were painting it, it was literally prime it a color, dry brush it a lighter color, do the roof a different color. Off you go, my son.
Yeah.
Bill took a while.
Oh, it did, but we were doing 10 tables worth?
Yeah.
Crack open that 3 mil tab as well now, Joe. When I'm looking at that. So this is when things get even smaller, which
get even really cuter.
Yes.
Get 10 buildings for a $5.
I know. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? This is when you start getting. This is when you start playing not necessarily with miniatures, but kind of blocks that represent stuff, which I think is really nice. The other thing that's really good about these kind of buildings, I think, is that you don't necessarily approach this from these being used for a traditional miniatures war game in the standard sense that we normally would think. I'd see these as being something that you'd use for map-based campaigns, or to represent villages that are on hex bases or something. Or
you were talking about this before, weren't you? A few weeks or a couple of months back, where you wanted to make an off-scale village marker on the table to say, here's, I think you were talking about that before.
Yeah.
These are
Somebody
really
made a
good for that.
Photoshop mistake on that one. No, look at the little cottage. Text.
Oh.
Dead center.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
dear.
just thought it was something so that someone had scrolled on the building, but there we go. But yeah, like I think if you're playing something that's representative, so there's what is it, Strength and Honor or Strength and Glory, which is the Too Fat Lardies game that came out, where it's all 2 mil and things become slightly more representative at that point. I think having stuff like that would be a really good way to kind of build things up. And obviously, because this is themed more towards World War II and that kind of French battle, well, the battle across France essentially, and all that kind of stuff, I think these would be amazing for tying into something like Flames of War. So maybe you play your games of Flames of War, but then you use some of the stuff that maybe we looked at in a couple of weeks ago, where we're talking about campaign maps and that kind of thing, and use these to supplement the idea, just sort of blank tokens or something on the table. I think that'd be really nice. And also, it's cheap as chips to start playing things at this level, to be honest. So
It really depends. If you're playing 3 mil on a 6x4 gaming table, you're going to need a lot of these little houses, depending on how many little villages and stuff you want dotted around your countryside.
That's fine. Look at the price, though.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, you could play things on the grandest scale possible, but if you play 3 mil on a 4x4 board, you're still essentially playing out like a massive section of countryside in France somewhere or something.
There's an idea in my head. It's never going to happen, because when ideas come into my head, they really quickly disappear. But I have an idea, and it's got to do with something in one of the next tabs that we're going to be looking at. So,
okay, what you got?
So just quickly, we'll move on to the ready painted stuff then. So this is, you were talking about the fact that sometimes companies do ready painted bits and pieces. Well, Battlescale also do that as well. And actually, as you can see, it's not actually that much more expensive to get the pre-painted stuff onto the tabletop. So if you wanted to just pick up, say, everything in that collection and use that to represent a little village, because obviously you could change things yourselves if you really wanted to. And then all of those pillboxes, you just build upon the cliffs on the beach side or something. Yeah. Suddenly you've got, an invasion set up or an attack on a French village where the Germans have occupied it or something. And away you go. I think it's really cool. Yeah, because obviously, as I say, sometimes you look at ready painted stuff and it's exorbitantly expensive. But yeah, really
you always expect to pay a premium for pre-painted.
Yeah,
to a degree anyway when it comes to terrain.
Yeah.
But
I mean, these are so small.
That's charming, though.
Yeah,
that's just really charming.
Yeah.
Cute.
I know you play a bit of BattleTech, Shay, but could you be tempted to look at sort of historical stuff in sort of a smaller scale as well as just your sci-fi things, or you love your 28 mil too much?
I mean, I've been playing Team Yankee in 15 mil.
Yeah.
But I would rather play like bolt action in the bigger scale for some reason for historical. I don't know why. I just like tanks should be big. Tanks should be big. Tanks should be scary. I want that.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think I'll stick to my sci-fi and smaller scales.
Well, here's something for you, Shay, though. You could have your Lance of Urbamex just wandering through an old French village. You've came up across a feudal world.
Yeah.
No, it isn't derby.
Okay.
Jay wants skyscrapers. You want skyscrapers so he can hide behind them. That's what he wants, So.
I want to be able to topple them on other enemies. Come on.
Well, and you can't do that with
building. Kicks it.
You can't do that with a French farmhouse, I suppose. So,
exactly,
or a 10mm caliber.
But yeah, I think, as I say, Battlescale came to me fairly recently as a kind of like, oh my God, this company exists. But I think they've got a really fantastic range. All of it's done in the UK as well, which is good to see, because a lot of the times you'll see a lot of this stuff and it's from America or something like that. But it's nice to be able to be like, I can actually order all of this stuff and there won't be terrible imports or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, bad. Are you sure? For our European brothers and sisters out there.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, Europeans, but there we go. But yeah.
Sorry, Europe. You'll have to pay for that.
I assume you wanted to look at the troop blocks. Is that what you were looking at then, John? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your plan? What do you think?
When I seen these and I seen the 3 mil stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine genuinely, as Justin was saying, taking your time and doing a 6x4 in 3 mil, but putting on a set of stilts, a big layer of perspex over the top of that.
Oh.
And making it as a top-down, like a command map, and using these to move over the top of the perspex for unit placement and stuff.
Do I get the pushy stick?
Yes. You'd
That
have
would
to have
be
the you
very
need the
nice.
pushy stick.
That's a requirement.
Yeah, but I think that would look kind of cool.
You can also hit your
Yeah,
opponent
that'd be a
if
lot of
they're
fun.
cheating. That's the
Exactly. Yeah.
There's that, yeah. And I'm sure
multi-
there's a ton of command level games out there anyway that would
Oh yeah.
support that. So
Yeah.
at 3 mil, do you really need infantry models when you have a green block that says this is the infantry?
Well, yeah. This is a
Here,
section.
here is a company, here is a platoon, here is a squad. I doubt
Plus-
if you'd even have a squad.
Plus, it plays into the not being able to actually get into the buildings and stuff like physically. So it's just that block is in that town that represents that infantry regiment in there defending.
Yeah, they have taken up defensive positions.
Yeah.
And then you could have another one of these that you could push up to say, okay, they've now entrenched or fortified.
Yep.
I like it. I like the idea.
Yeah, because I'd obviously just looked at these and thought of them from, the kind of point of view of just using them with maps, but obviously they could be equally as useful, as you say, in wargaming senses, depending on how you thought about it and the abstraction level that you were coming at as well.
Plus, if you're a big terrain guy, you get to make this thing look absolutely gorgeous, and then you're not wrecking it the moment you're starting to play with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, here's a silly thought, John. So instead of doing the massive sheet of perspex, what if you got clear acrylic rods and put them on as like stilt legs on top so that you were lifting and shifting?
I wouldn't really want to mess with the terrain once I have it done.
That's
You know what I
what
mean?
I'm thinking.
Like, I don't
With those
want-
like 4 stick legs, you can just turn it to circle it into wherever you need to go because you've only got 4 little points down on the table.
Yeah, but what if you want to make your table like a sand table and it's all like undulating?
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff?
yeah. Okay.
Like
You
really
want to
go
do
for it.
Alamein?
Yeah.
Well, immediately we've got 2 amazing projects that John's going to be working on in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, we're going to have a Normandy table and a desert table.
It'll never happen.
Now we just need him to make a Stalingrad table and we're complete.
Yeah, it's a German Churchill. Right.
But
That's
yeah,
to point that out.
I think there's some really cool stuff in here that they've put together. If you go back to their sort of like main shop page, there was one thing I wanted to just quickly open as well. If you bring up the shop tab on that top bar and go to the ACW and American War of Independence buildings, just further down.
These?
There we go. Yes, those ones.
These.
Click on that. Yes, because I hadn't looked to see what was in here. Oh, okay. There's not too much there. Never mind. But there are some timber buildings if you want to play around with them.
They are
There you go.
45 pennies each.
Wow, I love that. That's amazing.
That's
Amazing.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really going to fill up your cart with a ton of stuff going to this site with these prices.
What scale is Warlords ACW
Well,
range?
Technically, it's 13.5 millimeters, but 15 mil if you want.
Okay.
So you could pick it. So unfortunately, it wouldn't quite work for that. But it's
Shame. Maybe the
oh,
10 mil stuff would if they start bringing it out in 10.
yeah. But yeah, it's definitely worth having a look at the work from Battlescale. As I say, they do amazing stuff. I can't believe that I didn't really know about them until about a week ago. You can buy it all from their web store, as you can see there, which is just battlescale.com. Go and check it out, see what you think. And there's some lovely, pretty pictures of what it all looks like when it's put together. Oh, glorious. Look, a bridge and AC and some American Civil War style characters on them. Amazing. But they also have a section of stuff available on the Pendragon web store, which is focused on their, specifically their 10 mil collection, because that's what Pendragon do. But if you're looking to pick some stuff up from Pendragon as well, you can do at the same time. So yeah, some awesome stuff there from Battlescale. Hopefully people will go over and check that out. Tell us what scales you enjoy the most. And yeah, I think that was a pretty good indie of the week. We had 4 different intros and we had a look at a whole host of different trains. Pick the one you want, guys. And
People
tell us
are already
never to
missing
do this
Jerry.
again. That's the other thing. Yeah. Right, we're going to move on now and we'll be delving into some tabletop gaming news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, folks, and welcome back. We're going to be diving into some tabletop gaming news. We start off with some stuff that arrived earlier in the week from Atomic Mass Games, a little bit of a surprise announcement from them. But they are going to be developing a new Star Wars tabletop game that's going to be coming out in summer of 2023. This is Star Wars Shatterpoint. Dun, dun, dun. So from what we know so far, this is going to be coming out around June next year. It is going to be a squad-based Star Wars game. The scale looks, at least from what we've seen so far, there's been no official announcement of the actual scale of the models, that it's going to be more around that kind of Marvel Crisis Protocol scale, so around 35 to 40, although they might even be bigger. We'll have to wait and see. But as you play the game, you're going to be taking control of a iconic character from the series, be that Count Dooku or Lord Maul or Obi-Wan Kenobi or Anakin. And you're going to be then joined by some of your companions. So, for example, here we've got Grievous, who's supported by a selection of super battle droids. You had Count Dooku up above, who was sort of flanked by his droids there with those big shocky sticks. Can't remember what they're exactly called. Someone's going to tell me. And then you've also got Maul there, who's also got all of his lovely Mandalorian followers alongside him too. The game is going to be, as I say, squad-based, so it's going to be focused on smaller selection of models. So you'll have maybe, as you can see there, 4 to 5 models per side, and you'll be fighting it out over, as they've called it, ever-changing objectives on the tabletop. And we'll play this, and we'll bring it big so that everyone can see it. So, yeah.
I have to wonder if this is going to run off something that's closer to the Crisis Protocol game engine.
Well, there was a lot of people commenting on this during the week because obviously everyone's very enthusiastic about Star Wars, and they said that it's not the same mechanics as MCP, as Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's different from that because it's an entirely new game and product and stuff. Okay. But it will obviously share some DNA in the sense that it's going to be a much smaller model count that's used on the tabletop when you're playing your games and stuff. But from the look of it, I think this looks great. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Clone Wars era, and it seems like that's what they've really focused in on when it comes to this. We're getting models for Anakin and Obi-Wan and Assaj Ventress and all that kind of stuff as well, which I think is really nice to see. And the other thing that's really nice about this is the aesthetic, because they've gone for more of that animated look, which I think is really cool. So it's a little bit more exaggerated, which I think is a really nice way to go. But yeah, I'm certainly interested and intrigued by this. I'm obviously a player of Star Wars Legion, and I enjoy that game. But it'll be very interesting to see how this sort of goes down with everyone else on the tabletop. What do you guys think of this one? You interested?
I think it captures the more cinematic nature of Star Wars with the posing of the characters and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I know Legion, because it's more of a straightforward war game. Everything is a bit more regimented and a bit more, even your unique characters. Yeah, they're cool looking. Yeah. But I think you're right at the scale as well. I think it's definitely more MCP or whatever.
Yeah. It certainly looks a lot bigger than the sort of 28, but actually more around 32 mil that we got for Legion, I suppose, doesn't it?
But I mean, like Grievous looks great there. Looks absolutely great there. I love his posing in it. All his lightsabers from his collection. And Maul, of course, doing the
proper pose.
What we all loved in episode 1 when he was like, "Look, I have 2 of them."
Yeah. It is very cool.
I do think this is going to feel more Star Wars, because anytime you're watching the movies, it's about a very tight, close-knit group of people having adventures, and it's a lot less about seeing big massed armies clash. Yes, it happens, but the real focus is in that narrative, in that style. So I think if they can translate that into the game and the game mechanics, I think it's going to make a really cracking game.
I know a lot of people have obviously had misgivings from the sense that, you know, people have Star Wars Legion collections and they're thinking, why don't you just make this game at the same scale as Star Wars Legion? But I suppose if you're trying to do and evoke that feel of cinematic combat on the tabletop with a smaller number of figures, going for a bigger scale allows you to do a lot more of that stuff and play around with it. I'm sure there's going to be ways for you to convert it so that you could just play it with your 28 or your smaller figures if you really wanted to. But I guess we'll have to see what the game mechanics are like, because that's going to be the real thrust of this. If the game isn't good, then it doesn't really matter what the models look like, I suppose. But it'll be very nice to see where they go with this one in the future. If you just if you go back down to the trailer, John, and just scroll through a little bit, And I'm now making you do more stuff, John. But if you go through to, I think it's one of the sections towards the middle where there's a look at some of the terrain. Here we go. Click on that. Now, that stuff could well be scratch built, but I think from what we've seen with them doing for like Marvel Crisis Protocol, I reckon we're going to get some of this terrain stuff as well, probably along the same lines, which would be quite nice to see.
Like a product.
I suppose, yeah.
I mean, obviously the Causeway wall face.
Oh yes, yeah.
That's scrap. That looks like a kit to me.
It does, yeah.
Those floor tiles and stuff, they look like kit.
Yeah, and with the way it all goes together, there's quite a few different components there, so it looks like it might be something that's quite modular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
looks like you'd be able to like bolt things together and use those sort of buttresses on the side to kind of finish off wall sections and that kind of thing.
I think the Star Wars fans have been crying out for something, for terrain that's a bit more for them. Mm-hmm. I know that Star Wars Legion does a bit here and there, and there's a lot of MDF manufacturers and stuff. But if this is in plastic and captures that sort of aesthetic of Star Wars a bit more, I think it's gonna go down a treat. Hopefully,
we know they have the capability to do it with what they did with Marvel.
Yeah, all the New York street terrain and the sort of alien stuff they did as well later as well.
Exactly.
I also hope the bases are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like those bases are quite nice.
Yeah. Oh my god, look at those Republic commandos. Oh,
aren't they? Him behind the wall and him throwing the grenade. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. I'm not into Jedi. I love the faceless badasses. Mm-hmm. I love the commandos and I love all the stormtroopers and stuff.
I'm assuming you've watched the Bad Batch then, John?
No.
Oh, you need to watch the Bad Batch.
You would love it.
The last thing I watched was the Clone Wars cartoon series.
Okay.
So good.
Because someone
I would also recommend watching Andor because Andor has been phenomenal.
I've been waiting. I've been doing this more with series now. I'm waiting until the entire thing's out and then binging it. Because I hate watching a week's episode and then it's just like, oh no, I have to wait a week for the next one. Damn it.
I mean, come on.
You've even got Django.
Yes. Don't lose your head.
Nice, that's what you did there. So as I say, this is the first time we've had a look at this in a lot of detail, but I genuinely think this could be really fun to see where they go with it. I was talking about this with a friend of mine earlier. Oh, look at that. It's Obi-Wan and Anakin in their Clone Wars look.
Yeah, it's nice and all, but there's a B1 in there too.
Oh, yes. Oh my God.
That is definitely not Star Wars Legion scale.
They have said that they're going to be doing the ability to kind of customize stuff. Now, I don't think that means that you're going to be able to customize the models individually, but I think it means you're going to be able to, like Marvel Crisis Protocol, mix and match Jedi from a particular faction or the good guys and stuff.
Hey,
they come in
the battle droids are in 3s on a base.
Oh, that's cool. That's just like what they did for the SHIELD agents, yeah. That's right.
But I wonder if you'll have the Trade Federation there going, I want my droidikas.
Oh, my droidikas. Well, sure, we blew them on, most of them up in episode 1.
That's true. Yeah.
No, I'm excited for this. I think definitely one to keep an eye on and one that we will have to get under camera at some point. So, Ben, do your thingy thing, reach out and network to get this in the studio.
There will already be emails being sent at this very moment.
I'll leave you on a nice blurry.
I will also, if you go back to the news post and scroll up, we'll see that there's the cover to the kind of core set that's coming out. Mm-hmm. So it looks like what you're going to get in the core set is we're going to have Ahsoka Tano going up against Lord Maul, probably on Mandalore, I would imagine, because you've got both sides
everywhere.
Yeah. Got to both sides of the Mandalorian conflict there with Bo-Katan, and then I cannot remember what the other guy's called. People are going to crucify me, but
is that Sabine in front next to the Jedi on the art here?
Oh yes, so you've got Bo-Katan Kryze on the left, I think, and then Sabine Wren on the right.
Yeah,
and then you've also got Assaj Ventress and Anakin in at the bottom as well. So I don't know. Maybe that's just to kind of illustrate the other kind of cool stuff you can do, or maybe there'll be a whole bunch of different models in there for you to mix and match with. That's really cool.
I do hope this comes with at least some terrain in it for the core set.
Did Marvel Crisis Protocol come with terrain in the core set? I don't think it
memory
did.
serves, I think it did. I think it came with the Daily Bugle newsstand.
Oh, and the smash car and stuff.
Yeah,
like that was it.
Yeah. So it had just enough to get you going.
To throw things at people. Yeah.
Yes.
This might get me into an atomic mass game. So.
There we go. So yeah,
Never
something
know.
fun to look at there. If you're a little bit of a Star Wars fan, let us know your thoughts down below. I think we're kind of on the sort of hesitantly excited about this.
I'm not hesitant. I am.
Justin is all in. But yeah, we'll see how this one goes, and no doubt we'll try and get this on under camera in the near future as we move towards next year. Sticking with Star Wars, we had some more news from Fantasy Flight Games, who obviously owned Star Wars Legion before Atomic Mass Games did, I suppose. But this is the news about their new deck building game for 2 players that is coming out. So this is not a collectible game or a living card game like they've done in the past. This is solely everything you get in the box is what you play with, kind of thing.
Deck building. Boo.
Deck building's amazing, Justin. Don't be harsh on it.
Not my cup of tea.
In this game, one player will take on the role of the rebels, while the other player will take on the role of the Empire. And, well, naturally, obviously. And what you'll do is you will fight over destroying locations on the tabletop that both of you own. So each of you will have bases and planets that you'll be in control of, and you'll be trying to play cards to do damage to those different locations. And when you destroy 3 of them, you win the game. Now, the really interesting little twist in this, which I think is really fun, is that in the middle of the game board, you have, as you can see there, the Galaxy row, which is a row of cards that you'll be able to buy from as kind of like a market, because you'll spend your resources to add cards to your deck, hence deck building, to use them in future rounds. Now, that's that normally in a deck building game, you kind of just fight against whatever the other players have got out in front of them in their tableau. In this, the Empire can bounty hunt cards from the rebels in that row and destroy them so that they can get additional sort of resources or abilities from doing so. And the rebels can sabotage, not kill, sabotage cards from the Empire in that middle row to stop them from buying them. So there's a really nice kind of like sort of denial element to the gameplay, which I think is really fun. And I think it'll be really nice to see how that evolves throughout the sort of process of the game as you start to get a little bit more into it and sort of learning the mechanics. There's also this force track. So during the game, you'll be able to track if the Force is with you. Obviously, you can't have a Star Wars game without the Force in it, apparently. And this is a track which slides from one side to the other, and it will give you certain benefits. And if the Force is with you during a particular card play, so, for example, if it's on the blue side for the Empire, it's always boggled my mind the Empire is blue and the Rebels are red. I could never get my head around that with the lasers. It was it was green and stuff. It was so weird, but never mind. I suppose it makes sense. Rebel red, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, if it swings from one side to the other, you get certain benefits. If a card is played that says if the Force is with you, get this benefit, then you'll get some additional things like credits or resources or damage and that kind of stuff as well. It's very cool to see that it's just a standard 2-player game as well. I think it'll be a really nice tug of war to play it on the tabletop. I'm definitely eager to try it out. I love a bit of Star Wars. I have far too many Star Wars Destiny dice in a box of shame behind me. Let's not talk about that. That's quite a lot of money.
Hang on. You didn't have to paint them.
We'll save that for an XLBS, Ben.
We'll save that for XLBS.
Yeah. You can open your box on camera and you can tell us all about it.
It's
You're making him expose himself on the internet?
Yeah.
The worst thing is I can't sell it now because the game's down.
No. Now what you do is it goes into the attic, and 50 years from now, when you're an old man going to the nursing home, your family's going to chuck that out, not realizing it's worth about 20 grand.
Probably.
No, what you do is you go to Facebook and you mark it as rare OOP.
Yes, that's what I do.
Marketing brain.
There you go.
Pre-painted dice. But yeah, so that's Star Wars, the deck building game that's going to be coming out from the folks at Fantasy Flight Games. Make sure to go and check that out. I think it could be a fun little head-to-head clash for 2 players to get stuck into and have some fun with. There we go. Moving on, we're going to be going to look at the realms of fantasy and some stuff from the amazing folks at Kromlech. They do some of the best orcs around, and they've recently put their foot into the world of fantasy football with the creation of the new Champi-Orcs team, which has been made available over the last week or so. So if you're diving into playing a little bit of fantasy football, be that Blood Bowl or something else, although I don't know if any other fantasy football games exist. I'm sure someone will tell me. You can pick up this awesome orc team that has kind of been designed around the idea of them being more savage orcs, I guess, rather than that kind of classic, heavily armored Black Orc blocker style look that you tend to get with the classic
It's
orcs.
the orcs that live next door to the Seraphon.
Yes.
I mean, I have to ask,
They
please
pinch
tell
their
me,
kit. Yeah.
is the team name the Crashing Bandicoots?
Yeah, I was looking at the masks going, it is a bit Crash Bandicoot.
It should, yes, it should be, yes. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't unsee that now.
You are welcome, Internet.
Yeah. But yeah, so you're able to pick up the core team, as you can see there, in its entirety, which is a whole bunch of different resin models. Or if you prefer to go down the route of just picking up a few individual elements, you can pick up the shamans, the blockers, the brawlers, the throwers and the linemen separately. And they're all just individual packs with a couple of miniatures per set that you can use to kind of furnish one of your existing teams. So if you already have a bunch of orcs, maybe from Games Workshop, and you want to kind of spice things up and throw some special characters into the mix, maybe this would be the route to go down. Or maybe you just want to pick some of these up and do some converting with them. I really love the aesthetic of these. I think that the going down that slightly more savage orc slant is a really fun idea. And all the like rope bound armor and sort of weapons and stuff very much reminds you of kind of like Muay like look. And we had them all with the ropes around their fists and things. So you get the sense of these guys just beating everybody up, but looking after their hands
orcs,
at the same time.
So that's going to chafe.
Yeah. It's also kind of enables you to come at these from a different angle when it comes to painting, I think, as well, because you look at these you're inspired to paint them with bright, big colors for the feathers and the war paint and stuff like that as well. Yep. So yeah, really nice little team if you're looking to do some fantasy football stuff. Sticking with fantasy, but moving to the mortal realms, we also had some news from Games Workshop for what's coming for the Slaves to Darkness. So you all know from last week that we're going to be getting that army set that's going to be available for you to pick up to get everything new for the Chaos Warriors and stuff, following either Archeon or Be'lakor. But in addition to that, we're also getting a revamp of a selection of the different characters and troops from that range. So I think a lot of people genuinely really liked a lot of the standard Chaos Warriors and Chaos Knights anyway, really. But they have a couple of them been given a little bit of a glow up here and there. So, for example, you've got this Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount, who's looking very nice. Horsehoof on rock, yeah.
Honestly, for this kit, I would actually remove that and just have it as if the horse is rearing up a little.
Properly,
I imagine
style.
Yeah, I imagine it's there just for model stability or whatever.
Yeah. But I think it looks great. I love the hammer as the weapon of choice there. I think that seems properly chaos to be smashing things to pieces with hammers. You've also got this exalted hero of chaos who has a very thin head.
No, the head is in proportion. The armor is just very big.
Yes, the shoulder pads. He's got a sword there, but you can also give him 2 axes. So the kit's going to be a little bit of, you can mix and match and things as you see fit. There is also an unhelmeted version if you want to go down that route, which is quite nice.
If you don't choose the 2 axes, don't buy them.
If you're not thinking about axes, move on.
You shouldn't be buying chaos.
If you're not thinking about axes, have you considered axes?
Yeah. It feels like Shay might like corn. I don't know why, but there we go.
Just a bit.
In addition to the new character models, not named characters, we also have a couple of new sort of designs for the Chaos Warriors. So they've, I think, been bulked up a little bit from their previous iteration. Now, I quite liked the look of the Chaos Warriors as they stand currently in the Start Collected box and stuff. I think it's one of the best Start Collected boxes out there because of the aesthetic and all that kind of stuff. But here, you've got a little bit more of a dynamic selection of individuals, I think. And they've gone down the route of making them sort of a dual kit as well. So you've obviously got the big halberds there if you want to run with those, or you can run with hand weapons and shields if you prefer. I think they kind of match more now the scale that we're seeing for the Stormcast Eternals and the Thunderstrike stuff, where they've been given a little bit more bulk, meaning that they're not going to feel so weedy, I suppose, next to some of the big boys of Sigmar. But big boys and girls, I suppose, of Sigmar. But this kind of gives you a really nice section of different kits. The other thing that I really like about this as well is that it kind of maintains the aesthetic for the Chaos Warriors that everyone has liked since they came out. Yep. They've gone with this kind of classic old world aesthetic for the Chaos Warriors that, even though they've transferred over into the Mortal Realms now, these could be used equally as well if you're going to be trying to build sort of like an old world army for Warhammer Fantasy Battles or the Ninth Age or something like that, which I think is really good. The dynamism might make ranking them up a little bit harder, but and they're big swooshy capes, but that's a problem for you to solve, not me.
I would like to have seen a female variant of the Chaos Warriors.
Well, I think there is one up in the top right. I think that's a female warrior of that in that second picture.
Oh, in the second picture.
Yeah. That might be a lady up there. I mean, the big thing is they're in massive armor, so you can't really tell that they've got the old boobicles, can you? So
only the Stormcast seem to care about that with their armor.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Sculpted Grecian boobicles. I keep saying that word now, so
you could just say
has to think about bleeping it. Maybe.
No, I don't, because that's fine. And there is an option on YouTube's upload for that.
The one with the top knot's a girl, clearly.
Okay.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. Oh, just make them all girls. There you go.
Yeah. I'm running an entire female faction. Are you? Who are you? Chaos Warriors.
Yeah. We don't care. But yeah, I think these are really good. I love the shields. I think the massive shield designs are really nice. And you get the sense that they use them almost as weapons as well as a defensive option, which I think is really cool. But yeah, this set, as I say, can be done with either halberds or hand weapons, and you can do what you like with them. But yeah, really nice little set of additional Chaos Warriors. Yep. We also got a look at the Chaos Knights that got a little bit of a revamp as well. So they can be armed with lances or hand weapons and shields, although there is also, I believe, like a big magical weapon for your champion to use in battle at the same time. So like a big runic demonic weapon, which is really nice.
The posing on the musician's horse. Oh wow! Don't drop that.
Yeah. Honestly, whenever I first looked at him, I thought that was actually a hearing horn. I thought he had put it into the side of his head. What do you mean attack?
You want me to kill who? Yeah. But yeah, I genuinely think these are really nice. That again, they've managed to keep the aesthetic of the Chaos Warriors from that I liked from sort of Warhammer Fantasy Battles and the early days of Age of Sigmar. Really cool models, as always. Maybe a little bit busy. I mean, one of the things that you get when it comes to painting Chaos is you have to deal with a lot of accoutrement being added to your models. So there's a lot of little delicate things to color in on the edges of armor. You have to do a lot of skulls. You have to do a lot of faces and sort of fleshy things hanging down off shields and stuff. But
calm down. This is not Slaanesh.
Well, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, I think they look pretty cool, and will certainly be inspiring a lot of people to be looking at building chaos armies, no doubt, in the near future. So yeah, very nice stuff there.
Very nice.
And now we move on to some grimdark future stuff. Because
I'm going to mute myself for this one because this is all job.
This is the only part of the news I care about. Because
oh yes. So yeah, Cadia Stands, the new army set, is going to be made available to pre-order this weekend. Yep. We are going to have a bunch of them for you to pick up on store.ontabletop.com. If you want to get your hands on one, buy merch. But anyway, John, I'll let you wax lyrical. Do you like it? Is it fun? Are you going to buy 1 or 30? What do you think?
You did, I'm going to put it out there. You did say you would.
As much as every guard player on the planet knows that 600 guardsmen is a decent number and not enough, I'm going to refrain from having 600 guardsmen. I am actually going to be getting 2 of these.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do with the second codex. I don't know. Maybe go on video, cut the special cover off, and put it in a frame. I could. It's a nice piece of art.
Like
yeah, it's a nice piece of art. I mean, why would I keep it on the book if I have 2 of them?
Yeah.
No, this is the revamp a lot of guard players have wanted, and a lot of guard players are going to really hate. In equal measure, I think, because we've got the new scale miniatures. We're getting this really nice looking, updated, more modern looking aesthetic to the Cadians. And there's aspects of this I like, and there's aspects I don't like. I really like how the guardsmen look now. I like how the commanders look now. I've started to warm up to the Sentinel a lot more since I've seen a few more previews and stuff. And the ordnance teams, these bigger guns that we're starting to see, they all seem to have their place. And they all look good. And like I said before, they sort of hark back to the older style heavy weapons teams that had all the gun shields in front of them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love it. and I'm glad I currently don't collect Guard. I feel sorry for anyone that currently collects Guard, Bricky, who has a lot of Bricky Guard models, who now has looking at them going, everything is now obsolete. Do I buy the new stuff or do I go screw it and stick with what I've got? Because they're not going to sit well with the older Guardsmen at all. They're
the
taller.
old basic Cadians, yeah.
Yeah, the old basic Cadians that we've all known and loved for over 20 years now.
They are an old kit.
They are a very old kit.
The new heavy weapon platforms, didn't you say earlier this week that the stat lines had started to drop for them?
Yeah, all 3 stat lines for 3. There is 3.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You had the heavy las cannon, and then you have the cannon one that I can't remember the name of, but it's basically a mini basilisk. It's got no line of sight requirement, which is great. And the rocket battery, which is a double Nebelwerfer, which, you know, when you hear Nebelwerfer, you go, that's cool. But then when you say double Nebelwerfer, yes.
Hang on, would it not be a Nebelwerfer?
It's a...
Or a Nebelwerfer.
Nebelwerfer. I'm looking forward to
I'm guessing they're
these.
pretty destructive, by the way, these stat lines for these weapons. Or
I'm from now on, I'm calling it the mini Earthshaker, this one up here.
Right. Okay.
Because it's a baby Earthshaker. And it looks like it's going to be very capable. The heavy las cannon looks really good.
Yep, it's devastating.
It's very, very tough. The rockets, I'm not so keen on. Shay's more sold on them than I am.
They're so anti-infantry.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So anti-infantry, it's insane.
Mhm.
So if you have a friend who plays orcs, go nuts.
Oh yeah.
Or
It would
Tyranids, I suppose,
decimate. Small
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 3 of those will decimate an entire horde of Hormigons. Easy.
So what I'm thinking going myself, because I'm going to get 2 boxes, I'm going to build all baby basilisks.
Of course you are.
Because I figure
Fell from the back of the
I figure because 9th edition is so screwed up anyway with its rules and people aren't enjoying it as much, I may as well just hide and shoot you from distance. I may as well be like, you want to get into combat, do you? Good luck.
Your objectives count for nothing if you're not on them.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I've actually got the numbers up here. So the Malaeus rocket launcher is range 48, heavy, D6 plus 6, strength 6, minus 1 AP and 1 damage. So, yeah,
it's an infantry killer. Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely an infantry killer.
What do you think about the new Sentinel, John? Because that's the other thing that a lot of people have been sort of umming and ahhing about.
I'm still umming and ahhing about it. What I like about it is it's taking away, it's separating itself a bit more from the AT-80 style look with the 2 little
That we had previous,
yeah. They were very much AT-80 inspired. These, I think the Scout Sentinel looks better than the Armored still, but the Armored still has if anything, it looks more utilitarian than the previous one as well. It's so plain with just enough stuff on it to make it look like a functional machine. Whereas the Scout Sentinel just looks great because they managed to keep the little guy sat in the middle of it going, why am I so exposed in this thing?
But don't worry, I have a chainsword on the end of my mechanical arm. It's all going to be okay. Yeah.
Every Scout Sentinel is now a Catachin pattern, if you remember the Catachin patterns.
Could you be tempted by one of these box sets then, Shay, or are you firmly in the Custard Marines and Tyranids camp at the moment? Or...
No, I really want the Commissar.
Right.
The new Commissar model that's came out. It looks amazing.
I thought you didn't like him.
No, sure, I love him. That's
it's Justin that doesn't like him.
Yeah.
No.
He's close to being a Soviet, of course.
Exactly.
I mean, I look at him and he's almost in a T-pose.
Well,
he's establishing dominance. He's a Commissar.
Dominant,
yeah.
He's Commissar spreading.
So he's no longer a Commissar, he's a Domissar.
Domissar. God.
Exactly.
Oh,
No, I
that's
don't
going to be the
think
name
so.
of something now. Yeah.
Guardsman is never. I've always liked Guardsmen, but I've never really wanted to collect them.
Right. Okay.
I think it's more you like the idea of Guardsmen.
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
a regular human being in this universe of utter despair.
Just give me plastic Death Corps of Krieg. That'll collect.
Yeah, I mean,
Or more.
the one I really want is the one I've always loved, which is Valhalla.
Well, interestingly, talking about regiments and stuff, there was a article recently that went up on Warcom about regiments, and I may have had my dreams crushed because I don't think they're going to bring out models for them. But
I want to run 97.
They are going to allow you to mix regiments within your.
So you can have Mordians with Valhallans, with Cadians, with Catishans, whatever you want to do. Yeah.
I wouldn't put any of them together because it's Cadian or bust for me. So.
They've got to redo the Catishans. You must think that they've got to redo them. You can't have those little tiny bubble boys walking around.
If they redo them now, they're going to look awful because computer sculpting muscle doesn't work. And at that scale,
they'll look like the Minotaurs from Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah, they're going to look like something like Roblox. Like it's going to be like their pecs are just shoe boxes.
But there we go. Astra Militarum set, the Cadia stand set coming out this weekend for pre-order. You get the 20 Catachan shock troops, the 5-person command squad, the 2 field ordnance teams, a sentinel, the codex, which John is going to destroy, well, his second version anyway, the cards and some other bits and pieces. I will point out, and I don't want you to dive into the FOMO, but I will point out that if you do want to get this, these models probably aren't going to be available until sort of early 2023. So obviously it's nearly Christmas time anyway, but bear that in mind when it comes to looking at these.
If I was to say anything to curb your FOMO, if anyone's watching thinking I really need to buy this, just build it slowly. If you want this box, get it. Because you're not going to play with it until 10th edition drops anyway at this stage.
Well, probably, which is next year, most likely.
Yeah, so work with 10th edition on the horizon and work towards that.
Yeah.
So
and if you're looking to get it, we have made sure to secure a goodly supply. So the Militarum will provide.
Have you?
We have.
Have we?
Yes, we have.
Are you sure about
You were
that?
in the conversation.
Yeah, I'm buying most of it.
I will also point out...
I'm not suffering for FOMO, not at all.
I will also point out that if you do comment on this week's show, you could win a copy of this. So there's always the option that you could try and, test your fate against the gods and the Imperial Tarot. But there we go. Moving on, we do have some more Games Workshop news.
Yes.
Sorry, folks, but we have some more. But I wanted to basically engage Shay's "Is this meta or not?" brain. So we're going to be looking at
the good, the bad, the ugly, and the cheese.
Yeah, so we're going to go through each of the different 40k battle forces that are coming out alongside the Age of Sigmar ones as well, which I don't expect anyone to know anything about, but there we go. And we're going to talk about these in more detail. So, kicking things off for 40k, we have the Adeptus Sororitas battle force. I'm going to go through what it's got in it, and then you guys can go, is this good or not? So, this comes with Morven Vile, 6 Paragon Warsuits, 5 Celestian Sacrosancts, and a Battle Sister squad. Is this any good, Shay?
Yes.
Boom. There we go. Yes. Seal of approval.
6 Paragon Warsuits with Maureen Val.
It's just the way to go.
I assume it's going to hurt.
That's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah. And they're also pretty nice models as well. I quite like Paragon Warsuits.
Cool. I've always wanted some for my sisters, but I could never bring myself to buy a set.
I assume expensive?
Yeah, decently. They're not too bad. They're not as bad as you expect because you get 3 in a box, but still decently expensive enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, Adeptus Sororitas gets a thumbs up from Shay. So moving on.
One ding.
We have his favourites, the Custard Boys. So we have Captain General Trajan Valoris. Boom. 3 Virtus Praetors on Dawn Eagle jet bikes, but they can also just be Dawn Eagle jet bikes. You've also got 3 Alarus Custodians and 15 Custodian Guards. And all of this stuff can be made into heroes because of course they can, because they're Adeptus Custodes. What do you think, Shay? Is this good?
Yes, very good.
Boom.
You can make a 1,500 point list out of this.
So it's a full army in a box.
Yes, literally, it's a full army.
So Custodes gets a ding.
Boom. Let's keep with the Imperial truth, although these, I suppose, don't really follow that, I guess. But yes, we have the Adeptus Mechanicus battle force. This comes with Belisarius Core, the sneaky blighter, alongside a pair of Castellan robots and their Cybernetica Datasmith handler. God, I'm reading some weird words here. We also have 6 Cataphren destroyers, which can also be built as breaches, and a unit of Scutari Vanguard that can also be built as rangers. Shay, what do you think?
I don't know, because I don't play Mechanicus.
Okay, honestly, half a thumb.
I look at this and just the model selection feels a little bit bland.
I can see that.
Everything there hits like a truck. Those 6 destroyers. I think you can put plasmas and meltas on them. Like if you want to destroy some heavy stuff, they can destroy some heavy stuff. The 2 big robots, they hit like trucks.
Astlins are
Belisarius
cool. Yeah.
obviously hits like a truck.
Yeah.
Decent. I definitely would say decent, but there's not very much infantry.
Yeah.
No, that's
So
true.
you can't really build an army out of it.
Can't really secure any objectives very easily, can you? I suppose.
No.
So what you're saying is it's not as broken as Custodes.
No. The thing is, if
I'll
you've
also
already
say-
got a Mechanicus army, perfect
Maybe use this
for
as a bonus,
reinforcements.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. I would also say that Cataphrone Destroyer in the top right, in the middle, looks like it's floating. So maybe they've found some nice new anti-grav technology to use in the battlefield. There we go.
I mean, I'm okay with this because there's a lot of track things in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would
it
never-
scratches your tank itch.
Yeah, I say it now, and I'm like, I would never paint Belisarius. I wouldn't know where to start. I think I'd have to paint him on the sprue. He just annoys me to
Get
look
all the
at.
little details.
We've discussed
Yeah.
this before. His miniature is what you could definitely call a cluttered miniature.
Oh, it is cluttered, but I mean that's Mechanicus through and through. Next,
Next, we have the Imperial Knights Battle Force, which is big, obviously.
Yeah.
But it only comes with 6 miniatures, so army in a week, maybe.
6 miniatures, but 5 actual miniatures.
Yeah, you get the Knight Preceptor Canis Rex, which can also just be built as a Questorius Knight class knight.
Yep.
And then there are 2 Helverines and 2 Warglaves.
Mhm.
Shay, what do you think?
They're knights.
Yeah, it says it all. Really.
A knight's a knight. It's going to hurt.
What I will say is I've built and painted a Canis before, and it is so satisfying, especially if you're going really like proper that style, that look of Canis, and doing all your decals and stuff. He is such a satisfying model to have painted and look at. I've never played Imperial Knights. I collected Imperial Knights and then swapped them for 2 radio control tanks.
Okay.
I got a good deal out of that. What I like about this, though, is that it's giving you the Helverins and the Warglaves because they're just the smaller knight models are just handy, and the fact that I think you can chuck them into nearly any other Imperial army. Plus, I've seen a couple of guys reviewing these boxes as well, saying low-key Chaos Knight starter box as well.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
Ah, if you want.
That if you want to do Chaos Knights and you've got a lot of conversion parts, there you go. This is a good box for you to play with as well.
Who doesn't have leftover spikes from their Chaos miniatures?
Exactly. Because nearly every model in here is transferable over to the Chaos Knights anyway.
Yeah.
You just need to make them look a bit more chaosified, and you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Talking of chaos, we have 2 more battle forces. Well, 2 more battle forces for them. I'm just going to talk about them both at the same time, and then we're going to Shay. So we have the Stinkies and the Sorceresses. So we have the Death Guard one, which comes with Mortarion, alongside 5 Blightlord Terminators and 14 Plague Marines. And then there's also the Court of the Crimson King, which is for the 1,000 Suns, which
Future
comes
Harry Potter.
which comes with Magnus the Red, alongside 3 Exalted Sorcerers and 20 Rubik Marines. So probably the most basic of the sets, I guess, in terms of what you kind of get in there. But no Zangors. No Zangors in there at all.
Yeah.
But what do you think of those 2, Shay? Are you a Chaos boy? Do you like them?
Don't mind Chaos, they're alright. I mean, it could be better. But you get Primarchs in them. You get actual Primarchs in them.
Yeah.
Yes, they're good.
I will say the Death Guard one, building Mortarion. Oh, mama.
Building Mortarion isn't that bad. It is a chore, but you're getting one of the best looking models in GW's range out
It is
there.
very nice.
It looks amazing.
True.
The fact that he's friggin' flying. Again, he's a model you don't want to drop. But
yeah, it's just take your time with him.
He's so impressive looking. It's a very imposing model.
Well, wasn't he the first of the Demon Primarchs to come out, or was it Magnus?
Magnus was the first.
That was first, yeah.
Magnus was the first, but I think Mortarion swiftly followed.
Yeah, because then he got into a nice little ruckus with Rowboat Girly Man. So
yeah, he got blight.
Yeah.
So we like the Chaos ones because
we like the Chaos ones as well. I think they're kind of cool. We've got the 2 Space Marine ones. I'll talk about both of these and then we'll go through them. So we've got the Imperial Fist one, which looks like possibly one of the best sets. I think a lot of people have talked about this one. You get Tor Garadon, who's leading the way, alongside 3 Primaris Aggressors and 15 Heavy Intercessors. You also get a set of Primaris upgrades to make them look like Imperial Fists, which is obviously very helpful. And then there's also the Raven Guard Battle Force. So while one of these is taking the front line, the other one is sneaking around the back to stab you. This is led by Kavan Shrike, alongside a librarian in Phobos armor. You then have 10 Primaris Reavers, 2 Invictors, tactical warsuits, and 3 Eliminators, just to make sure you secure the kill. Shay, what do you think? Do you like these ones too?
Imperial Fist, yes. Raven Guard.
I actually like the look of the Raven Guard one better.
I would say the
Raven Guard one looks better, but in actual gameplay, 15 heavy intercessors.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God, yes.
Oh.
Yep. The thing I find with the Raven Guard one is it feels like a very situational kind of force.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Imperial Fist one is just it. Some people say it's bland, looks wise. It's bland.
Vanilla.
It's not got a lot of big stuff in it, but it's a solid root of a wall.
Oh God, it's not going to move. Yeah, you shoot it, it'll just go tink. Oh,
It makes-
keep
I don't know.
looking, so.
I think I would enjoy the Raven Guard one more, just because it's got those Invictor tactical warsuits in there, and I love using those things.
They are nice.
They're a nice looking model, but why didn't you armor the cockpit?
Because reasons. We ran out.
Run out of material.
Yeah. But so that's a whole bunch of different box sets for 40k if you do dive into. They might be good ways for you to start out with forces, or as Shay was saying, might be a good way for you to expand an existing force that's on the tabletop. These are most likely going to pop up with us on store.ontabletop. So if you're interested in those, make sure to go and check them out.
Oh yeah, we have to make the Postman cry again.
Yeah, we tend to get these battle forces every year, so I'd assume we're probably going to get these as well.
Oh yeah, but you only have seen the Postman last year. We filled his van twice,
just like Santa. We're going to finish things off, but I'm going to run through these quickly because obviously people don't just want to hear us talking about Warhammer all the time, and we have more things to talk about. But we have some awesome stuff for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So these are a whole host of their battle forces, which they have expanded significantly on since last time around. For the Daughters of Cain, we have the Slaughter Queen on the Cauldron of Blood. I'm not going to read what else it can be. There's also 5 Melosai Blood Sisters, 5 Kinari Heartrenders, 5 Doomfire Warlocks, and 10 Witch Elves. God, do they like their naming conventions, don't they? This is crazy.
You love it.
Yeah, I do actually.
I like it when they do it this way, when the kits have a nice big chonky miniature for you to get into.
I think that's really cool because it means you've got a big statement piece to play around with, which is always fun. You've got exactly the same thing with the Orc War Clans, so we have the 2 hero models, which can be Swamp Boss, Scumdrek, and Gobsprak, but they can also be built as a Snatch Boss or a Killer Boss on their representative creatures. You also then get 3 of the Manskewer Bolt Boys and 10 of the Gut Reapers. So it's a kind of basic force with a couple of battle line troops in there alongside some big characters. Sticking with the Auric War Clans, not the Auric War Clans, but the Gloomspike Gits, still greenskins. We have possibly the coolest of the sets. So this is awesome. Just the Stampeding Squigalanch is an amazing name, and I absolutely love it because these will be hilariously fun to paint. You get a Loon Boss on a giant K-Squig, 2 Mangler Squigs for ultimate chaos. I've just knocked my shoulder out thinking about how amazing that is. Or 10 Squig Hoppers that can also be built as Boingrot Bounders. These are amazing names. And then a 12 miniature Squig Herd as well, just in case you have run out of Squigs already. If you love playing with balls, that's the one to go for.
I love the one on the right that looks like one Squig is parkouring off the other.
Yes, it is.
It's the Mangler Squig.
The Mangler Squigs are amazing.
Yeah. We also have one for the Skaven. This comes with a Grey Seer on a Screaming Bell, which can also be built as a Plague Priest on a Plague Furnace. A Warlock Bombardier, 3 Storm Fiends for ultimate machine gun loveliness. 40 Clan Rats and 40 Plague Monks. So if you're looking to paint a horde over Christmas, this is probably the one to go for. Contrast points. Oh, contrast paints. Away.
This one tempted me. This one tempted me.
It's really nice. Yeah.
I've wanted a Skaven force for quite some time. That's tempting.
That's so many Skaven. It's brilliant.
Yeah, there's a lot of Skaven. Yeah.
Next.
We've also got the Night Haunt, who again would be a very quick and easy army to paint if you could broke out the contrasts. So this comes with Lady Olinda herself, a Black Coach, 10 Blade-Gast Revenants, 10 Dread Scythe Harridans, and 10 Grimghast Reapers, again with the naming conventions there. But a big old ghosty force that you could pick up, paint very, very quickly and get it to the tabletop nice and easily. You've got lots of battle line forces in there as well. Well, units in there, alongside some of the more specialist kit. And you've obviously got Lady Olinda, who is going to wreck house with all of her magic and stuff, which is really nice. Another one of the ones that was high up there on my sort of, ooh, this looks nice, maybe I should buy this, is the Sylvaneth Battle Force. So this comes with Draco Hammerdrath in the middle, alongside 2 Tree Lords, not 1, 2 Tree Lords, which can be built as the Spirit of Durthu or a Tree Lord Ancient if you prefer. There's also 10 Spite Revenants. And then the thing that I was a little bit upset about, and I would have liked to see Kurnoth Hunters instead, is that you get the 16 Dryads there. Dryads are all right, but I would prefer Kurnoth Hunters because Kurnoth Hunters are amazing. So there we go. But yeah, some stuff for the Sylvaneth.
And then
capping things off, we have the Stormcast Eternals because you can't leave the big golden boys behind. So it comes with a Knight Relictor leading the way alongside 3 Annihilators, 10 Vanquishers, and 10 Vigilors. You can also have the 2 Stormdrake Guards in there if you want to run some dragons, and who wouldn't, because dragons are amazing. And one of those characters can be made, one of those kits can be made into a Knight Draconis. So if you want to lead an all-dragon force on the tabletop, you still can. They may have been slightly nerfed, but they're still amazing. And I really, really am tempted to build an all-dragon force for Age of Sigmar, but there we go. That's a tale for another day. Yeah, so there you go. Maybe go and pick up these and add them to your collection. But phew, oh my God, that was a lot of stuff. Jesus. Oh, wow. So much news, much wow. Tell us what you think about everything we've covered in the news, and we're going to be going off on a little bit of a break now, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about 3D printing and Kickstarters. All right, folks, we're back, and we're going to be diving into some 3D printing is the shiz. See, I'm making my own jingle for that one. And yeah, we're going to be looking at something a little bit different this time. So this isn't for a range that currently exists, but it is for a range that is coming soon. So everyone knows Wargames Atlantic. They do amazing plastic kits, don't they, folks?
Yes.
I think their kits are amazing. They cover a whole host of different things, from sci-fi through to fantasy, through to historical, and everything in between. But they have also been working on something called Atlantic Digital, which is their first foray into doing a little bit of 3D printing themselves. Now, we have looked at stuff in the past from other companies that have been transitioned over into plastic with the help of Wargames Atlantic, but this is them going out on their own and using their sculptors to create a whole bunch of digital assets for you to download and print off at home. So as you can see here, we have some fancy elements. So they've been showing off things like Necromanta Oliena Velnorn, which I think is rather cool. And in typical Wargames Atlantic's style, all of the elements are kind of customizable and you can kit bash to your heart's content, which is always nice to see. And you can see a couple of the sort of other versions of her when she's been put together there, which I think is quite nice, sort of giving you a taster of the different kits they're going to be doing for this. One of the things they've been talking about over the last 2 weeks, I think, has been kind of their ethos behind this. So you might see this and be like, what? Wargames Atlantic? They're not going to make any plastic kits anymore. Heresy, moan, downvote. But no, what they're actually going to be doing is they're going to be using this to supplement the existing lines. So you will obviously know, as I say, that you can keep scrolling down as well, by the way, John.
Yeah, sure.
You'll notice that a lot of these are marked with the particular ranges that they're attached to. So they have between, like, I think 9 and 11 ranges that Wargames Atlantic have been working on, including the classic fantasy you can see here. And the idea behind this is that it supplements all the things that currently exist. So they have all their halflings that they've already been working on, their halfling warriors. Well, instead of making an entire plastic kit dedicated to armored halflings, they're instead doing the 3D printed elements so that you can make additional characters and units to then go alongside those halflings to use in your fantasy games. Now, this doesn't mean that these kits aren't going to get turned into hard plastic kits in the future. They may still do so. It depends on how well they sell and all that kind of stuff as well. But as you can see, a really nice section of different things for you to dive into. I love the Irish chieftain. There's always got to be a Jerry somewhere, and they always find a way to put him into their releases, as you can see there.
That is a rather mean-looking shillelagh he's rocking about with there.
Yeah, yes.
That'll do a bit of damage.
You've also got the Roman, as you can see there. So they've done one of the sort of Imperial Romans for you to use in your games. Again, with a whole range of different elements for you to start making them and customizing them into different units and commanders, figures, and all that kind of stuff as well, which is always nice to see. And then here's some of the really cool stuff that they showed off. I think it was most recently this week, towards the end of this week. So this is the set for their plastic Afghan warriors. So they've done them previously for the Imperial Conquest period. So that means a lot of sort of early firearms and that kind of stuff mixed in alongside sort of standard dress from the period, but with a few additional sort of tweaks here and there. The addition of an RPG or a sniper rifle, a Dragunov, maybe?
Dragonov,
yes. There we go. Yeah. And some
RPG,
AK-47s, because of course.
Yeah.
You can suddenly turn them into a modern force that would suddenly go up against the likes of, the British or the Americans or something in the Middle East. I think it's really cool. Simply with the addition of a conversion. The cursed AK? What?
Yeah, look up Brandon Herrera.
We don't have time to elaborate on that.
Okay. Right. Okay. That side of the internet.
Just check out Brandon Herrera.
Okay.
Right. There is also this much larger kit that they've got working on, which is the Damned kit, which is a set of kind of sort of scouts and sort of behind enemy lines, saboteurs and stuff that you can use in your games, with a whole host of different kit that you can play around with here. And if you wanted to go down the route of making them a little bit more chaotic or something, you could clearly do that as well, which I think is quite nice. But the thing that's really nice about that is that when you look at that kit, that is essentially an entire plastic kit if they wanted to carry that forward and start using that as a full sort of physical kit in the future. I think it's quite nice.
The nice thing for that is if you want to do something a lot more regimented with some of your warbands, because you're 3D printing, you don't have to worry about, oh no, the favorite gun I wanted to use on like 5 guys, I only have 2 of them. Damn it.
You can 3D print the guns you want now, It's all good. And then you've got this alien headset, which was one of the more recent reveals by them. So say you're playing Star Wars Legion, for example, or not Saga. Say you're playing Star Wars Legion. Although I suppose you could be playing Saga Age of Magic with some weird creature heads on it, I suppose.
You just call them mutants.
You just call them mutants, yeah. But there you go. You've got a whole host of different alien heads. And how many of the Deathfields range would just look amazing if you just stuck some alien heads on them and changed them up? I think that'd be fantastic.
Do it with the Eisenkern.
Do it with the Eisenkern as well. Yep. Perfectly. They're heavily armored alien troopers then.
Perfect for something like Warpath.
Exactly. Yeah. Could even use them. You could use them to suddenly make really diverse and interesting crews for Stargrave and all that kind of stuff as well. And because obviously all these are 28 mil, I mean, obviously you can scale things up and down as and when you like. But these would be great to be used alongside other plastic kits at the same time. So it's a really nice little idea from them, I think. As I say, they're not in the process of phasing out plastic stuff entirely. So that's still going to be a thing. These are just used as a supplement to what already exists, and they'll be there to kind of build on things as they go forward. And this week as well, they put together this form. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see there's they're giving people the chance to choose the theme for this month. So all you got to do is fill in the form with your ideas. As you can see, tick the boxes that you like, or the box that you like, and you'll be able to sort of get involved with the development of the STL files that they're working on for the month of December and moving into January and February and everything next year as well. So I think it's really cool. So does anyone have any ideas of which ones they'd pick?
Pirates. All the pirates.
All things defensive. Okay. Justin's going to go for pirates. What about you, Shay?
Oh, cavalry.
Cavalry. Oh,
I thought you would have went for the Forlorn Hope.
No,
Desperate attacks.
Forces, man.
Okay, it's Christmas is fast approaching, and apparently Shay wants a pony.
Yeah. He's the only man in Wargaming who likes painting horses. That's what it is.
I've never painted a horse in my life.
That's why he still likes the idea of it.
Yeah, I like the idea of the command and control and adding some leaders, because I think that'd be really fun to see it added onto their existing plastic collections and stuff. But yeah, there you go. So it's not exactly a 3D printing is the shiz of an existing range, but it's one that is coming around the corner next month, in fact.
It is the shiz that's brewing.
I think
yes.
I think this stuff here, the add-on kits for existing
conversion
stuff,
parts,
yeah, I think those conversion parts are the best way forward for them, because with the Afghans particularly, like, because the dress doesn't really change with Afghans, it's only what they're carrying. And I think that's probably going to be their best piece, or their best way forward, is conversion kits, add-on kits for all the existing ranges. I think that's going to be their
definitely agree, because let's say there's a weapon type they want it to add it to, say, an already existing kit. So let's use the Eisenkern, for example. Let's say you wanted to get some new heavy laser weaponry in there, or you wanted to do like some bullpup style rifles in there. having it come out as a digital piece, I'm well up for that.
Well, because they don't bring out a lot of plastic kits per year anyway, it lets them save the money on making the molds and the sprues, because that's obviously the biggest or part of the biggest sunk cost for the company anyway. Yeah. So they could make regular plastic infantry all day long and then just say, right, well, here's an upgrade that's come out for them. Surely one of your friends or yourself owns a 3D printer at this point.
Yeah, it also opens up the possibility for them to do their future box releases as like a baseline. So you are a guy with a rifle, and then all of your upgrade and specialist stuff would come out digital. And potential might reduce their costs.
There's potential in there for them to, if it takes off, for them to eventually produce those in-house as well and sell them as a blister.
Yeah.
Because I for one would love to see them do Victorian sci-fi stuff. Maybe add that onto some of the existing kits, or take the World War I and World War II kits they do and make them weird.
It also gives another opportunity if they're starting to explore digital, so they could do big kits. So you remember years ago they did there was like an APC thing they did. Mm-hmm. So very expensive for a smaller company to actually get out to market. But if they're doing it this way, they can do the design work. Mm-hmm. And then they save all that money on the big setup that you would need for like the molds for that, and just give it to folks digitally so they can actually release bigger, badass vehicles possibly. I mean, I don't know if you're thinking about it, Wargames Atlantic, but think about it.
You could always fill in that form and you could put it in the suggestion box.
Bring back that big Eisenkern Walker.
Yeah, what was it called?
That. No, do you not remember the sci-fi Stug they did?
Oh, that was cool as well.
Get that back out and get it out digitally. That's what I would go for.
Yeah, right. Well, there we go. Some 3D printing stuff to have a look at. Make sure to go and fill out that form. There will be a link down below, so you can go and head over to the Wargames Atlantic website and have a look at that for yourself and make your own decisions. Are you going to go with pirates, or are you going to go something else? But there we go. That's the 3D printing stuff done. We're now going to be moving over into the world of Kickstarters. And we're going to be starting things off with a look at something that will probably be quite familiar to a lot of people, especially if you like your video gaming. So The Last of Us, which is from the folks at Naughty Dog. Weirdly enough, we were talking about Crash Bandicoot earlier, and they had a hand in in that. So there we go. But we're going to be looking at their work with. Wonder if shall we sell? What are we going to do with those cookies?
John. We have another forum for you. What do you want to do with your cookies?
Oh no,
we can. I don't know. Confirm.
There we go. Right.
Whatever.
You are now allowed to use the internet. Yeah. Right. So this is their collaboration with the folks at Themeborne. Now, we love the guys at Themeborne. They do amazing games. The Escape the Dark series is phenomenal, good fun, and we've played that a couple of times here on the channel and had a lot of fun with it. But this is them coming at their first licensed product alongside the folks at Naughty Dog for The Last of Us. So in this game, it's got all the kind of core stuff that you love about the Escape the Dark series, where you've got chapter cards going to be flipped over, revealing new locations and all that kind of stuff and things for you to solve. But it's all tied in to the narrative and the characters from the world of The Last of Us. So you're going to be playing as Joel, Ellie, Tess, Bill, Tommy, and Marlene. Most of those guys didn't survive to the end of the game. Sorry. But spoilers.
You can do better.
But this is where you could do better. Exactly. Yeah. So
I think,
go on. No,
the thing that's really exciting me about this is every time they brought a new Escape the game out, it's an evolution of the game engine. And this one, from what I'm seeing on table, is you have multiple storylines to go down. So it's not just you are in a randomized story that you are going to be told and work through. You have that more of an open world exploration feel, while still having all of that nervousness of who's doing it, who's drawing the card. Not me. I did it last time, guys. I am low.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that they've sort of cemented here. Is that they've got all those core mechanics that we like. So you've still got the dice rolls that you'll do in order to beat chapter cards and that kind of thing. But as you're saying, Justin, there's that move away from it just being a single card deck to it being a larger expanded board that you'll be playing over. Each of those locations is then going to have cards dealt to them. And as you move through to those, you're going to be uncovering new sort of puzzles to solve and decisions to make. Do you go stealthy and do you sneak around and do you try and roll that on your stats?
Yes.
Or always stealth.
It's
all
The Last
time.
of Us. It's always yes.
That's true, yeah. Or are you going to get in? Sorry, go on.
It also looks like between the locations you're moving to, there's actually spots on there where I think I saw them put some of the little clicker miniatures.
Yeah.
So you might have dangers that you have to face as you're moving away.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the other balance. Do I keep going down this storyline, or do I try and escape and sneak past those clickers?
Well, that's the interesting thing. So each, as you say, those are clicker miniatures. Well, clicker tokens that can be miniatures if you get the deluxe version of the game. But they will block essentially locations from and you moving forward. So even if you reach a location and you want to move through, you are going to have to eventually sometimes have to get into combat and deal with the clickers to free up the route so that you can pass through. Because one of the interesting things about this as well is that whereas in the original Escape the Dark games, you just have to get to the end of that card stack, and you can take as much time as you like getting through to there, right? So you get to that last card, you defeat the boss, and you escape the castle or the sector, right?
Die horribly.
In this, you have a time limit. So there's a sort of a ticking clock that's going as you move from the quarantine zone all the way through to Jackson at the other side. So it's going to sort of push you to make some kind of desperate decisions as you're sort of diving into the game, which I think is a really fun way to go about it. Another thing that's really nice about this is that they've added a whole bunch of additional mechanics in for using items and stuff. So they have a lot of the stuff that they took from Dark Sector in terms of ammo for weapons and ranged combat and melee combat and the difference between those. But they've also got crafting elements in this as well. So when you defeat certain creatures or when you go to different locations and you search them, you will unlock bits of kit that you can then use to make, as you can see there, nail bombs and all sorts of different things for you to use during your adventures further and further into Escape the Dark, which I think is really cool.
You can upgrade your weapons as well. That's nice.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So they, as you say, they have taken the idea of the Escape the Dark series and they have leveled it up. So this is, if Escape the Dark Castle was level 1 and Sector was 2, this is the level 3 of their sort of growing mechanics for the Escape the Dark series, and generally think they've done a really nice job with this. So as a lot of the stuff you've been seeing that was in the video and that kind of thing is stuff from the standard edition, so it's all sort of tokens and stuff. Still features all of the same amazing black and white artwork that we've loved from the Escape the Dark series anyway. Obviously taken up to 11 in a lot of ways for The Last of Us with that lovely clicker on the front. Look at that. That's just gorgeous.
Oh, he's a pretty boy.
He's a pretty boy. Give him a kiss. But you also then have miniatures for the sort of exclusive collector's edition of the game as well. So they'll replace the tokens if you want in the game. So you'll have ones for Joel and Ellie that have been shown off. And then I think each of the different characters are also going to have their own miniatures as well. So if you're someone who really likes, doing a little bit of extra painting and making your games look even more special, then you have some options to do that as well, which is really nice to see. And
I don't often say this for a game. Now, normally I'll go, oh, I like that. I want that. This one I'm saying, I need this. I literally need this game.
Yeah, I love The Last of Us. I love the Escape the Dark games. I think Themeborne have done an amazing job on all of their projects in the past. So I can't see this being anything less than bloody brilliant, as they say. I may ask permission to spend the monies on this one and to get the playmat, because the neoprene playmat whenever you're playing this game, it just feels so nice. It looks so I've got the one for Dark Sector, and it makes things feel a lot more plush. It's very good. But yeah, so this game is available to go and back over on Kickstarter right now. You can find out how to play the game and watch a whole bunch of stuff, including interviews and stuff, over on their campaign page. As I say, it's their first sort of licensed property for the folks over at Themeborne, but I think they're doing a sterling job with it so far from what we've seen of the mechanics and things. There are 21 days left on that campaign from when you're watching this at the moment. So make sure to go and check it out. Yeah. Moving on, we're going to be moving into the realms of fantasy for a minute, and we're going to be looking at something from Draco Studios. So you may remember, I think it was last year, or maybe the year before, probably last year. Time is wibbly wobbly. We talked to Draco Studios about their Lords of Valar Kickstarter, which was a sort of board game set within their amazing Dragonbond universe. Well, they are coming to Kickstarter with their new book for D&D 5th edition. And I know you folks are very into your D&D, so this might be something fun for you, which is called Itza's Guide to Dragonbonding. And it's not smutty, so don't make any jokes about it.
Not the Rick and Morty edition?
No, it's not the Rick and Morty edition, no. So
I am disappointed.
I forgot about that.
This is a new book that has been designed by the folks at Draco Studios that enables you to add even more dragons to your Dungeons and Dragons, because there probably wasn't enough to begin with.
Yay!
You get rules for Dragonbonding, I say, don't be smutty, which allows you to add dragons to your group to fight alongside you in your campaigns. You also have mechanics for dragon-based aerial combat, which just... I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. There are also new classes. So you have the Dragon Hunter, the Dragon Herald, and the Val Adept. So you've got new sort of like martial and magical classes for you to play around with, alongside new subclasses. So the Rogue now gets to become a Dream Spy, which sounds rather nice. The Fighter can become a Gladiator. And then the Barbarian can go down the Path of Scars, which just sounds amazing. Why would you not want to go down that route? Barbarians are cool. Love them. But there we go. That's just my thoughts. There are also new race options based on their own world that they've created, alongside magical spells, items, weapons, and more. And if you scroll down through, we'll see some of the stuff that comes in the different packs. So as you can see, there are a couple of different flavors of things for you to dive into for this campaign. You can go in at the sort of base floor and just pick up the digital PDF for this book, which is fine and dandy. A lot of people play online at the moment. You can go up a level and get the hardback book, which just looks stunning and comes with amazing artwork in it anyway, which is great. And then there is a big collector's edition, which is that sort of box on the right-hand side, and all the book and stuff there. And that comes with character sheets, art prints, dice. There are even, as they've called them, sharp-edged dice. I don't even think I want to hold those. Or do I need like a chainmail glove to like roll them or something?
I mean, you probably need the razor wire gloves.
Yes, something like that. You also get a DM screen. You get an art book. You get these really awesome sort of in-world illustrations that have been designed by Itza inside the kind of world of Dragonbond. It'll kind of add some sort of narrative to your gameplay. There are also additional cards that will track all the different monster stats and spell cards as well. So while this has essentially been designed as a book to kind of enable more dragonness in your games, it's actually more or less a world book for playing within their sort of theme and world of Dragonbond on the tabletop, which I think is amazing. I'm a massive fan of dragons, so I'm probably going to get this. Just saying. But I think this looks fantastic, and the artwork and stuff that comes out from the folks at Draco Studios is phenomenal. So
I think I need this.
Yeah,
yes.
I think I'm in the same boat, because I just the art is just so gripping.
Oh God, yes, yeah.
They have so much vision in it, and as you say, because it's essentially you're just being given a world to play with.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You can just turn. We could hand this to Ethan.
Oh yeah.
He might not like it because he wants to make his own world, but you know,
it's too already set for him. Everything has to be his.
Yeah,
but we can give him elements and inspiration.
I'm sure there are dragons within his world, so this would be a really nice opportunity to build on that and sort of grow things in a different way.
What in the fudging hell is that?
Exactly. This is how cool the world is, man.
I mean,
yeah,
some form of, I don't know.
It's like Venom and Slender Man.
Yeah,
really like spiders one day.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's probably some sorcerer's nightmare that unfortunately he was wearing a dreamstone and then just crawled out through his chest.
It's a dragon wizard's familiar, because a dragon who's a wizard needs a big familiar.
This is fair.
It's only 20 foot tall.
I like to think that a dragon's familiar would just be a human. And they'd be like, "You wizard, you're my familiar now." What? Okay.
I honestly, if the choice is death or pet, I will choose pet.
That's true. Yeah. But yeah, as you say, John, I think the art is phenomenal in this, and I think they've done a really nice job of kind of blending together their world and presenting it in a way that will be really accessible for a lot of people. A lot of people play D&D. A lot of people like 5th edition. And so this is a great step forward for them to kind of introduce their world to a larger group of people, I think. Yeah. And I was talking to Jerry about this. They are actually working on creating kind of like their own RPG system essentially as well, and building on their own world in different ways. So maybe we'll see that later down the line. But I think this is a really nice sort of first stepping stone for kind of getting people involved in it. And you know, everyone loves dragons. So yeah, fantastic opportunities for people to dive in and have fun with. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. It looks really good. I need to see.
Are you going to scroll down to the collector's edition?
Yeah.
So that's the core box, which is cool.
Even the core box looks good.
The core box is nice, yeah.
And comes with dice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And this is one that comes with you get the really nice Drakos Brood dice, which are your D20s, and then you get that sharp-edged set of dice. I assume it just means because they're not rounded on the edges, rather than they actually want to make you bleed. But
yeah, they have not inset razor blades.
Yeah.
More like casino dice.
Yeah. But phenomenal stuff. So yeah, and more things getting unlocked all the time as well.
Yeah,
and extremely well funded, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So this campaign is, as you say, funded and has about 20 days left on it. So if you're interested in dragons, and I think we're all pretty much sold on this one. Oh, yeah. It's definitely worth having a look at. And we may even have a chat with the folks from Draco Studios in the future to maybe do some stuff with them. So that'd be very cool. So yeah. Right. Moving on to the last Kickstarter for this week. And it's the last, but it's not the least. So the folks at King Games, we've talked about them before on the show. We love their models. They do the Dunkeldorf range. We had an unboxing for their miniatures this week, which you can go and check out, which Jerry did. On his holidays, no doubt. No less. So he is, even more excited about this than most people. But this is the Streets of Dunkeldorf, and this is a new set of 8 plus a few more miniatures that are going to be added into their collection for you to use on the tabletop. The ideas and themes behind these are kind of old world inspired, because the folks at King Games absolutely love kind of Warhammer and the old world and all that kind of grim dark goodness. But they've been working on this range for a couple of years now and building up a absolutely wonderful collection of metal and resin miniatures for you to use on the tabletop. You could use them for your skirmish games, or you could perhaps use them for, as Jerry would say, incorrectly playing RPGs. Although, of course, doesn't matter. Do what you want, man. Do what you want.
You can only say that because he's not here.
I can only say that because he's not here, yes.
I'm going to challenge Jerry for a second as well. No, you're wrong.
He will comment now, and he will fill the YouTube comment section with ideas, but there we go. The idea behind this one in particular was that they were trying to build on the kind of people that you might meet as you were walking down the streets of Dunkeldorf. And so we have the likes of like a dwarven merchant, we have a flower seller, we have town guard, we have a crier and a poet, we have sort of sellers of toys and all sorts of different things in the mix, which I think is really nice. And when you kind of back this campaign, you can either go for kind of like 8 miniatures plus a few of the extras, or you can go that extra step and get some of the terrain pieces. So all the miniatures are in 28mm and they're in metal, and then each of the terrain pieces are going to be cast in resin instead. So you've got a little bit more detail in those. I've painted some of the signs and stuff that they've done before, and a few bits of their kind of interior furniture and stuff. And it is really nice and very well detailed and looks lovely. And they have really stepped up their sculpting over, I think, maybe like the last 2 or 3 years. And I think their original sculpts were great, but these ones have got a whole host of additional detail mixed into them, which makes them really fun to go and pick up on the tabletop. I want to get to the stretch goals though, because as my favorite character, keep going. Unfortunately, you haven't got the early bird. But you haven't got the early bird because you're watching this on Friday. Okay. Oh, well, yes, the bird is the bird, yes. But anyway, they're doing daily unlocks, and they've unlocked a couple of additional characters, as you can see there. But my favorite, keep going, John. Keep going.
Is this going to be a halfling or a dwarf?
Child?
No, it's the dog. It's Schmutz the Gong Farmer's dog. Why wouldn't I want a poo collecting dog?
He's adorable.
It's amazing.
He kind of looks like the one from, what is it, Cinderella?
I can't remember Cinderella enough to know the dog, to be honest. But
this is what happens when you live with someone who adores Disney.
This is what Tramp does when he's not chasing Lady. That's what we'll say.
I'm digging the idea of the mutant kids as well.
Yes, I think that is very cool and very in keeping with the idea of Warhammer and the old world and stuff. So if you're going down that route, you could almost have some interesting decisions for your party to make. Do you kill them? No. Let's not talk about killing mutant children.
They're mutants.
Yeah. But anyway, maybe go play with them instead. You also have some additional things like art prints and all that kind of stuff as well, and additional things are going to be unlocked. So by the time you're watching this, there'll no doubt be a few more additional things added to the Kickstarter. They have also said that because they have such a wealth of options available for you to go and pick up, once it gets to the pledge manager, for this campaign, you're actually going to be able to add a bunch of miniatures from their previous releases. So if you like the idea of adding some more market dwellers or underworld contacts or stuff from the Prancing Peacock, as you can see there. I even have a mug for the Prancing Peacock on my desk. Not sponsored. You'll be able to dive in and pick all of this stuff up and use it to create an absolutely wonderful cavalcade of miniatures that could be used for a whole host of different things. But there
I
we
would
go.
love these guys to eventually make like a fantasy adventure game.
Well,
with all of these miniatures.
Well, there are rustlings of them doing something RPG based in the future using their world and their miniatures. So keep an eye out for that. So there we go. Yeah.
That's your teaser.
I think
for
I
the
could
week.
say that. I don't think I'm going to get in trouble. That's fine. Right.
You heard a rumor from some guy on YouTube.
It's on. I think they mentioned it on Facebook, so it's fine. Right.
So you heard it from some guy on Facebook. That's fine.
Yeah.
Could be totally wrong. Could be totally wrong.
Yeah. But anyway, there we go. So 3 amazing Kickstarters. One that kind of ties itself into video games, another that sort of allows you to dive into a little bit more stuff for Dungeons and Dragons, and then some wonderful miniatures for use on the tabletop. But yeah, I think we're at the end of the show. Thank you, folks, for coming along with me. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, John. Thank you, Shay, for your amazing wisdom when it comes to Battleforce boxes. We need to, I now want to edit it into the show, Justin, that whenever one of those boxes come up, Shay goes ding or brr brr or something.
See, here's the thing, though. It's something I've not had a chance to say on camera with Shay before, but people used to call me Captain Alpha Strike. That's the new one. He has taken my mantle, my power.
Oh, no.
The difference between Shay's method of play and yours, Justin, is that Shay actually tries to be nice to his opponent.
Wow.
Ouch!
Wow. Well, before the cat fight starts, we're going to move on. You'll be able to watch more from us on Sunday if you come on over to OnTableTop, where we do the Cult of Games show. So you can go and head on over. You can buy a membership, or you can watch with a 30-day free trial and find out what other shenanigans we get up to. It's going to be us 4 again. We're going to have more shenanigans, talking about wonderful stuff that we've been working on, including a deadly list from John for Flames of War.
Yes. List.
He gets to talk about tanks. That's going to be the entire show. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
best XLBS ever.
Yes, best XLBS ever. If that's not an incentive to come and watch, I don't know what is. But yes, we also have that competition prize. So if you wanted to get your hands on the Cadia Stands Astra Militarum army set, oh dear, and you don't want to try and fight John to buy them from store.ontabletop over the weekend, then make sure to comment down below, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And if we don't see you on Sunday, we will see you next week on Friday. Bye for now.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.